Decision making. Alright, decision making is a module of MBA known as decision making techniques. This in this module, we will see that how a company makes decisions while having different options with them, and what are the decision making techniques or tools which are used for decision making process. This chapter is a very small chapter. In total, there are 8 chapters of decision making, which we will do. And once we have completed 4 chapters, we will provide our students with the assignment so that they may have time to do it. Uh, Apart from this, if someone wants to have more grip on this subject, they can refer to the book known as Quantitative Analysis for Management by Render R and Steer RM. And it is 11th edition 2011 by Pearson Publication. And if someone want an additional reference, they can go for Data Analysis and Decision Making by Christian Albright and Thompson 2006. Now let's move to this chapter. Alright, now as I told you that this is a very small chapter, and it actually just tells you the decision making process, that how a company or how the managers takes decision. First we have to see the whole process, and we have to check that okay, why normally we make decisions. Obviously we make decisions, or we have to decide, because there is some problem. So number one thing is problem. When a problem appears or is identified, the business managers has the responsibility of making a decision or selecting a course of action that will lead to the solution of the problem. So number one thing is problem, that why we take decision making process, or why we go into this process, is because of the problem. Now the second thing comes, okay, if we have problem, now what to do? Now before coming to his decision, he will be influenced by his own experience and knowledge of the situation and similar situation, as well as recommendation arising from the quantitative analysis. Okay, I will show you more in the upcoming diagrams. For the meanwhile, you can just go through it. There are 2 types of environments which can basically distract the decision maker. One is the qualitative and one is the quantitative. Now what is quantitative and what is qualitative? Let's go to the another slide. So here is the diagram of the decision making process. You can see on the left side that when we have problem, we do 2 things. We do qualitative analysis and we do quantitative analysis. Now what is qualitative analysis? Qualitative analysis is generally based on managerial experience and judgment. That suppose I am a manager of a company, and I found myself in a problem, or I have to make decisions what to do. So what I will do, I will see that okay, what type of experience do I have, and what type of decision I normally take place whenever I have such problems, or whenever I had such problems. So once I uses my experience, I uses my colleagues experience, I uses my seniors experience, and and even I check with my peers, that with my competitors, that normally in this situation what type of decision they take. So this is qualitative analysis, which is based upon managerial experience and judgment. The second, and the more, I would say, the more authentic analysis is quantitative analysis. Now, quantitative analysis is an approach where we use mathematical analysis. We have different types of models available. We have different types of techniques which are used for quantitative analysis. For instance, we use financial ratios to calculate whether this project is feasible or not. We calculate net present value, we calculate return back, we calculate payback period, we calculate different type of financial ratios. These all comes under quantitative analysis. So quantitative analysis is a very main approach which normally managers do. Now, once we are done with the qualitative and quantitative analysis, what we do, we have evaluation. Okay, now we have evaluation. It means that this is actually the result which have come from the qualitative and quantitative analysis. Once we have evaluation, we just summarize it and we take decision. Now comes stages involved in decision making process. This is almost the same which we have discussed in the diagram in our previous slide. First stage is the problem definition. First of all, we have to see that we should not treat a problem in isolation. What does it mean? It means that we have to see that whether the decision which we make due to this problem, will it have an effect on other projects, on other things as well or not? So it means we have to take care, or we have to count on everything. We should treat this problem not in isolation. So it is important to look at the whole system, and in doing so recognize the other areas that would be affected by any decision made. A problem must not be treated in isolation. The problem definition stage includes identified alternative courses of action that might be taken and formulating criteria against which these alternative courses of action can be measured and a judgment made. So whenever we have a problem, we have to see that what type of alternative courses of action we can take and what type of formula or what type of criteria should we use to solve this problem. The second step is construction of a model. Okay, now we have identified that, okay, this is the problem. So how to solve this problem? We will construct a model. The first step is to obtain the quantitative data either from existing record or by a survey. So this is the way how we get quantitative data. The second is to analyze the data by an appropriate statistical method. So once we have data, obviously that data is of no use if we don't analyze it properly. So once we get a raw material, we convert it into information. How we convert it into information is by appropriate statistical method. We will teach you these statistical method later on this module. And the third is to build the mathematical model. Once we know how to use it, we will build a mathematical model. The next step is derivation of solution from model. Now the method of deriving a solution from model will depend upon the model used. What type of models do we use? We will discuss it. We will discuss in upcoming chapters. The next step is testing the model and its solution. A model is only a partial representation of reality. Although we attempt to model the essential features of a problem, whether we have identified all the essential features always remain uncertain. So it is important that we test the model and its solution. Obviously, testing a solution would give us more accurate result. The next step is establishment of controls. The models and solutions are only valid for the problem if no changes take place in the variables, controlled and uncontrolled, or relationship between them. Now, what are variables? You can just take an example that inflation is directly related or directly proportional to the rate of fluctuation of interest rate. So here, inflation and interest rate, they both are variables. Some variables are controllable and the other variables might not be controllable. So we have to see that this model is only applicable if there is no changes in variable. We will discuss the whole chapter of variables in upcoming chapters, so don't worry. In the previous slide, we have just seen that there are some controllable variables and some are uncontrollable variables. So this is a diagram showing the controlled and uncontrollable inputs. What are uncontrollable inputs? Obviously, environment is not a controllable unit. It comes under uncontrollable input. And controllable inputs are something within our company which can be controlled. So obviously that makes a model. So once we have model, we will give its projected result, that if this variable is this and if this variable is this, this would be the result. And from that result, we will make decision. And we have to realize that, or we have to incorporate all the measurements of uncontrollable inputs as well. Now the last stage of a decision making process is implementation of that decision which we have made. In the previous slides, we were discussing that how we make decisions. We incorporate controllable, uncontrollable inputs. We make a model, we make a quantitative model, we make qualitative models. So now once we have made everything and now we have make a decision that okay, we have to go to the project. What should we do? The last and the most important stage is implementation. The one thing should be clear in mind that why implementation is important, because it is of no use of having a decision which can't be implemented. So the team involved in the development of the model, what was the development of the model? The things which we did in the previous slides. The team involved in the development of the model would make their recommendations and hand over the implementation to personnel already working in the application area. The danger, now this is the main danger that I was discussing. The danger is that these people may not be fully aware of the actual requirements of the implementation of the model and may, through no fault of their own, introduce errors of implementation which might undermine the basic assumption. So the best thing to avoid that danger is that a member of the model team should be involved in the implementation so that if a problem arises, he can give advice. So that is the first chapter of decision making process. In the next chapter, we will discuss different types of models, different type of techniques that are used for decision making process. Thank you very much.